Hey everyone, my name is Ethan. This is Courtside TV, and today we're going to do something a little different. As I'm sure you all know, this is the 1 year anniversary of the death of Kobe Bryant. I guess yesterday was it as you're seeing this. I'm recording this on the night of the 26th, which is exactly 1 year ago today. Kobe Bryant passed away. And I realized that I had never really talked about it on this channel. My experience and my feelings on Kobe and where I was when I heard the news and all of that. So I figured this is a good time to kind of look back and remember the legacy of Kobe. So I'm just going to kind of go through where I was on the day that it happened and my remembrances of Kobe as a player. So 1 year ago, it was a Sunday morning, and I had just gotten out of the shower. I was just getting ready for the day. It was kind of early in the morning, and I have tweet notifications turned on for a bunch of NBA reporters, obviously just for to be able to see the news and keep up with what's going on. And I remember seeing a tweet from Kevin O'Connor from The Ringer, and he said something like, "This Kobe story better not be real." And I was like, "What's he talking about?" And I looked, searched up on Twitter Kobe, and I saw the initial reports of Kobe's died in a helicopter crash. And I remember just being totally locked to my phone for the next 20 minutes because there was no confirmation of it. We had just seen the TMZ report and nothing was official because it was pretty early. And 20 minutes later, we got the tweet from Woj that said Kobe Bryant was among those killed in the helicopter crash. And I just dropped my phone and laid back onto my bed. And I just it just felt totally unbelievable at the time. Because you never expect that, especially from an athlete that had retired so recently. It hadn't felt like it had been that long since Kobe was playing basketball. He retired, I believe, 2016. Obviously, we know the story of his final game and all of that. And it was pretty unbelievable to see that. And then to hear all the news about all the others who were in the crash as well as his daughter. It was just it just felt so surreal in that moment. And I remember watching some of the games for the rest of the day and Devin Booker getting all teary-eyed and all of the players throughout that day and taking the shot clock violations, the 8-second backcourt violation and the 24-second shot clock violation. It's almost perfect that those two numbers are his jersey numbers and they were exactly the violations you could take. There's something kind of beautiful about that. But just watching it all that day, it was kind of, it just felt totally unbelievable. And I'm sure that that's pretty much how it felt for everybody else too. So as a basketball fan, of course I'm familiar with Kobe and his game, but it's almost weird to say that he was almost a little before my time, and not to say that I never watched him because I did, but I'm 20 years old. I was born in 2000, so Kobe was drafted before I was born, and he was already in the NBA, and growing up, the legacy of Kobe is almost kind of the what you yell when you throw something into the trash can, right? Kobe, hitting something. And I did that all through elementary school. And I never really became a huge basketball fan until I was about 13 or 14, when I really got into the NBA, my early teenage years. And those were, near the end of Kobe's prime, and his last couple of years when he wasn't really winning titles, just more being on a pretty bad Lakers team. So I never really watched him in his prime and winning titles, but obviously you hear all the stories and all the stuff about it, and I've never been a Lakers fan. I've always kind of been anti-Lakers. As a Warriors guy, I think that kind of makes sense. There's a rivalry there, but everybody has a respect for Kobe, and everybody has a respect for his game and what he was able to accomplish with the 5 rings and just the Mamba mentality we always hear about. And I think my favorite Kobe moment is probably the after tearing his Achilles, still coming out to shoot the free throws. And it's funny because my favorite player, Klay Thompson, did the very similar thing as we know when he tore his ACL in the finals and came back to shoot those 2 free throws. And that moment was very reminiscent of Kobe doing the same thing against the Golden State Warriors in a game. And that's kind of, I've always respected him for that. And seeing my favorite player Clay do the same thing was always that's a very special moment to me. So I don't know, that's a way I guess I can link the two together, which is it's cool. And I think when people think about Kobe and his legacy, obviously you think Mamba mentality, you think, the killer instinct and all the finals appearances and the dedication and, coming back strong after injury, and all of those are amazing accomplishments in their own right. But I think the one thing that maybe gets lost in the shuffle a little bit, and people do talk about this, but maybe not as much as they should, is the fact that he was such a huge advocate for women's sports. And especially with his experience of being a father of, I believe, 4 daughters. Obviously, his daughter Gigi died in that crash with him, but he was always coaching them and talking about how proud he was of his girls and giving the women's sports just as much respect as men's athletes. And I think that's something that us as fans need to think about a little more, because people talk about how he was such an advocate for it, but then I see people who have like Kobe profile pictures then go on Twitter and comment on WNBA things and say really sexist stuff in the comments, which is obviously kind of a double standard. And supporting women's sports and women's athletics is something that I've always been passionate about myself, because I feel like it just gets a bad rap with the way that people talk about the WNBA and the whole stigma around it, and how people claim that they want to be paid much as the men, even though they just kind of want an equal slice of the pie compared to their how much revenue they bring in, and all that stuff. So I think that's really the legacy of Kobe for me, is his advocacy for all of that. He was very outspoken on some of those issues, and I think that we need more people to kind of carry that on. So I've been thinking about ways that I can do that, and I'm going to try to make some more content on maybe WNBA things if I can. I think that would be really good. Maybe when that season kicks up, I can delve more into that. But I think that's something in the legacy of Kobe that I hope doesn't get forgotten. It's just hard to believe it's been a year, man. And it's still hard to believe that it's a reality too. It almost, feels like he never left, right? And I have friends who are not at all into sports that, called me up on that day and were like, dude, can you believe this? Like, Kobe Bryant passed away. Like, Kobe Bryant. Like, you just never thought that would happen. He was only 41. Like, I mean, all these athletes, we get to see them grow old and well into retirement and collect all these awards and be at ceremonies and present awards to the younger generation. And, we see that with Bill Russell all the time, and all sorts of athletes, right? Grow old and we're able to give them their flowers while they're here. And that didn't happen with Kobe. And I think it's a reminder to never take athletes for granted, never take people for granted in general, because you never know when things are going to end. And that's it's a sad reality of life. But I think we should appreciate more athletes while we have them. And that kind of ties into the theme of my video from the other day. Just kind of appreciating greatness while we see it, and leaving the hating stuff a little bit more to the side. And I guess that's about all I have for today. Hard to believe it's been a year. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant and Gigi and all the others that died in that crash. It still feels weird to say that. It's rest in peace to Kobe. It still feels weird. It doesn't feel right. But yeah, that's all I got. So I'll see you guys in the next one.